Hey guys, welcome back to The Poor Investor, where we stay poor today so we can invest in tomorrow's future, and hopefully that works out as planned. So today I will be going over 5
So that's the number, yes!
reasons why you should be considering or thinking about getting into cybersecurity, just like I am, or just like how I have, or why am I still in it actually. I'm a little confused myself, but I'll give you my top 5 reasons on why you should get into it if you are still on the fence about it. So number 1, guys, it's in high demand. The amount of positions available for cybersecurity, all aspects of it, cloud, infrastructure, network engineers that deal with security, and across every single industry requires this now because everything is online facing. You got a whole bunch of guys who are working remote, and you have everyone who's like traveling around the world just trying to access things all over the place in a matter of seconds, and all that has to be secure. So the flexibility and the demand for the jobs are all there. I know it can get a little confusing. There's a lot of certifications, there's a lot of avenues on which route or which security. You have to kind of sit down and kind of focus on what it is that you want to stay on and kind of concentrate on that, because everyone has a profession that goes deeper, right? So let's just take martial arts for example. Like there's so many different types. You got kung fu, you got karate, you got Thai, MMA. Everyone has a different avenue of pursuing it. Do you like to be on the ground a lot? Do you like jumping up in the air and kicking everyone around? Or do you like be grounded, meaning you're standing and you're using your upper body? Or do you like to use your legs? My prime example of all that is, you know, there's different things that a lot of people feel comfortable with doing or not doing, and security is no different. You got cloud, you got network, you got all the other stuff, firewalls and switches and routers, a lot of components to consider and a lot of research that you have to do on your part to see. But the high demand for all of that is always going to be there, and it's just constantly growing at this point across every single industry. And we're talking about from like the porn industry all the way to anything that deals with cartoons.
Gotta be something I need to improve on.
Everything in between that, movies and businesses, banks, corporations, whatever the case is, there is a high demand. So then that also leads us into number 2. What is number 2? High compensation, meaning you guys will get paid. A lot of 6-figure jobs out there right now, even for entry level. And I say that, but it really depends on your experience and how much you can convince the hiring manager that once you come in, that this is what you're going to do for them and how they would benefit from your presence being there and how much they can benefit from your knowledge in the cybersecurity world. But if you're new to it, of course, you're going to have to study and get some certification under your belt and get some experience. But how do you get experience if no one trusts you yet, right? That's the hard part. Sell yourself at that point is more like a marketing at the same time doing security, that you have to convince them that this is what you can do and this is what you know, and you can take all that experience that you've had prior, whether it's from school or some kind of labs that you've attended during classes, anything you can do, get some internship under your belt, get some years of experience. And I say years, it could be like even 1 year, and then they'll be like, oh, you've worked with this before? You know, expose yourself at home, build out labs and products and download these trials, and you can go all over the place without having to pay much for it. And if you're willing to go that route, of course, these companies are willing to compensate, whether it's benefits and high salaries. They would try to retain you as much as they can because you became a value to them. Don't be surprised that, you know, bonuses, year-end increases in salary is highly likely, because especially based on your performance. Number 3, it's the challenge. And when I say challenge, it's like the dynamics of cybersecurity is ever changing. It's not like you go and work as a mechanic, you do oil changes. It's the same concept, but in a different way, different car, different model. Maybe it's similar to that actually. But cybersecurity, because there's so much going on, like, you know, all these new 0-day hacks, if you heard of those before, a lot of vulnerabilities, and your mind just has to constantly be up to date with all these things. You have to constantly do research. You constantly have to read up on what's going on in the world in order to figure out what's happening to these corporations or companies that are being exposed or vulnerable. Different products out there all have their own little situation. Then that's where the dynamics of being very challenging comes in, because you can't just sit there and say, okay, I'm gonna take out this book that we wrote 10 years ago and say, all right, this is what they did and this is how I'm going to apply it now. It doesn't work that way anymore because every day it changes, where someone has to write it today in order for it to be relevant for tomorrow, so on and so forth. Every day it has to be rewritten. I may be a little extreme in regards to that, but you just have to make sure that that's the dynamics of it, because something that may have been important a week ago may not be that important this week. That's how it's been changing so much. The training, vendors coming out with new material, updates, and you're just constantly having to follow that trend. Now, I know it's like a cat and mouse, but as you're getting older, you'd be like, oh my goodness, I can't keep up with all this stuff. But that is what comes with this territory of cybersecurity, because there's no set rules that you can follow from the past that will still be relevant in technically today or tomorrow. And of course, you guys have seen for yourself throughout the course of all these years that technology really changes from, modems back in the days to AOL to where we are now on your phone, and all this craziness that's going on. That's called time and development in the technology world. Security is following those trends as well. So number 4 is positive impact to the society, not only because you have this mindset of cybersecurity that you're protecting the organization that you're working for. Hopefully that will retain for yourself as on a personal level, and for your family members or friends, that you can warn them and protect them.
Yo, Joe! We'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble.
If they fall into being a victim of a identity theft, or they're swiping the ATM card everywhere because that's easier than putting a password or whatever, or using pins that are repetitive across all these different social media platforms, explaining to them how two-factor is a benefit, because then no one can really, well, I wouldn't say can't, but lesser chance of someone taking their account and logging into somewhere without them knowing, or having to do something else in addition, right? So you're protecting not only the company that you're working for because you're being paid to do that, but your knowledge for your personal being and your surroundings, of especially if you're a good person, that you would help any situation that so people don't get scammed out of thousands and thousands of dollars because some email came through on a phishing email and they fell for it by clicking on it and putting their credit card information, or someone on the telephone end up calling your grandmother and convincing them that you were kidnapped and they want her to send all these gift cards so they can release you. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that are beneficial in understanding cybersecurity, because I know for myself, a lot of family members and friends are unaware of all these situations or things that have been going on in the real world, and they only know what they know, especially the older generation who are not used to all this fancy technology stuff, going on Facebook and TikTok and seeing these random ads and thinking it's a steal or a deal, and they're clicking on it. So you have to warn them on top of why it's dangerous to do all that stuff. But that all comes down to number 4 again, is the impact that you would have as an individual to your surrounding and your environment, which is really positive in a good way, especially if you're the good person. So number 5 is job satisfaction. A lot of cybersecurity individuals have reported that they are satisfied with what they do at work, and because of the higher compensation, because of the acknowledgement, the things that they do is important, and also leading into different avenues of security, digital forensics and incident response, white hat hacking, or just penetration testing and finding things before it becomes a big problem is very satisfying, to be really honest. And that leads into a achievement, a goal that you have accomplished, and it just keeps on going from there. And also leads into sometimes, possibly, if you're into it, leadership roles where you're kind of guiding people who are less knowledgeable than you and leading them into the way of being a better cybersecurity professional. That is why I probably am still doing cybersecurity as part of one of the many other things that I do on the side, which is like real estate investing, crypto, and businesses, and all the other good stuff. And cybersecurity is still a full-time job for myself. And those are the top 5 reasons reasons why I suggest that anyone who's considering or hasn't decided on what is it that they want to do, this may be for you. I want to thank you guys for being here. Please remember to hit that like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again really soon. Bye.